I can't promise you, but I can try. John, how are you?
Very good, Karen.
Thanks.
Just drove all the way down here to just hear this side of the story on this Miami Herald.
I'm not worried about it, John.
Oh, there's a lot of people that are very concerned about it.
Okay. So, what do you want me to say?
Well, I mean, if you work for Pepsi, can you honestly do some consulting on the side for
Well, I don't work for him.
He signs your check, right?
He does, no. His check comes from the Miami-Dade County Commission, who said, we need some Democrats.
The paper said that you're working on a number of lobbying deals together.
No. He said that I have the Miami-Dade contract that he has. They said to him, since the Congress has changed to be Democrats, that they want to have some Democrats representing them in Washington, D.C. My former staff person, Eric Gould, who worked as my counsel for the Ways and Means, who worked for the Clinton White House, is who I have my partnership with. They did a contract with me to help Miami-Dade be able to talk about port security. That's it.
Okay. So the deal is the public, you know, when we're talking about the position that you hold,
Right?
and the public being not as, we'll say, sophisticated in the wiles and ways of politics and government. The ordinary person, and I've been that ordinary person, that started out in your campaign in 2002, actually, okay, prior to that, Al Gore. Walking the pavement, whether it's those people walking the pavement, getting people out to vote, or writing a check in any amount. Sometimes it's a lot more painful for people to write a check for $25 than it is for
somebody. I agree.
$2,500.
I agree.
And so the public is not really able to digest that well, and quite frankly, neither am I. And neither are a lot of people. The concern is, you know, if there's only one party in Florida, the money party, and you represent the Democratic side, and Cardenas is representing the Republican side, where do the ordinary people fit in? I mean, you only have so much time.
John, excuse me. Let me ask you this question.
Sure.
Do you think port and airport security is important?
Yes, and I absolutely believe it's important.
Okay.
But here's what I would suggest: that if this were truly an important issue to be working on, and working on it with the Republicans, would you have to take a check for it?
You know, John, it is a.
Would you not have made a public announcement that's saying, I'm going to be working with the Republicans on port security, and, you know, in an effort to...
You know, John, to be honest with you, I never thought it was, you know, I got to tell you, I never thought about it. Maybe I should have. But the fact of the matter is I didn't. I don't know how this story began. The fact of the matter is I've been lobbying before I took this job. I made it very clear that I was going to be doing that. I am very selective in what I do and who I do what for. And in this case, it is an agreement that I made with a former employee of mine who worked as my counsel for the Ways and Means Committee, who worked for the Clinton White House. It's Eric Gould and I.
Well, all that stuff is fine, but it boils down to you're working with Republicans.
I'm not working for the Republicans.
Well, then
I am working for Dade County on port security. They requested Democrats to be involved because we became a Democratic congressional. We took over.
okay. I'm not going to accept that, and neither are a lot of people. But the fact of the matter is that when we're talking about receiving a check that somehow is passing through a conduit that includes Al Cardenas, the architect of, you know, Republican domination.
Now has fallen out of, you know, the great race of the Congress because of the fact that Democrats took over.
Right.
Do you know how many K Street people are hiring Democrats today?
That's great, but that's again,
That's
part of the,
exactly right. So
that's
we're
part of
taking
the-
money away from Republicans.
But that's part of the money party insider game that leaves the people, you know, wondering where they fit in.
John, you know what? You and I are never going to agree on this.
Well, no, because people like myself and the people that walk the pavement, they don't get paid to do what they do.
So do I.
But you're getting paid $100,000 a year.
Yeah, and I left a job, or was
Well, that was
taken
your
out of a
choice,
job
though, right?
of $150,000.
Right.
No, and they came to me and they said, please provide a leadership position in the Democratic Party, right?
But-
is that on?
Huh?
Is that on?
I don't know.
Well, I would. If we're going to have a personal conversation, then I'm not going to talk to you if that's on.
Actually, yeah. Well, I think that people want to know. If you can't talk about it on the record, then
John, I have no problem talking on the record, and I've made it very clear that I'm not afraid of this issue. I think it is perfectly okay for me, who started. No, John. No, wait a minute. I have always had a lobbying company on the side before I took this over, and I said when I took it over, there were people that knew that I was doing lobbying. I've always done that. I did a veterans issue that I have continued to do with e-appeals to make sure that our veterans hospitals were getting their due money from third-party reimbursement.
that's fine.
Okay.
The point is,
So what is the problem?
the point is, you stated that you know, when you took this job, you left a $150,000 a year job, and you made a choice to provide leadership.
No. I didn't leave that job. I was doing that job, and if you ask my DNC members, they knew that I was doing some lobbying on the side. It has not taken, look, John, it has not taken away from anything that I do. Okay, if I mean, you know, I get criticized when I criticize Bill Young. Oh, you need to know, you have to know that there are times when I've come to St. Petersburg, people didn't show up because I criticized Bill Young as Democrats. And, you know, I mean, I'm doing the same job I did whether I'm doing this or not.
Well, I think there's people, when we talk about, for example, the 2006 elections, people are concerned about, you know, how well that went and what
And
you've
it
been
went
saying.
well.
Well, it didn't go well.
Yeah, it did, John.
It did not go well. You can paint what you're talking about any way you want.
Fine.
But look at Glenn Clayton. How many meetings did you have with Glenn Clayton?
John, you know what? You and I are just going to disagree. I'll tell you what. It is why I am doing these kinds of events, so that I can have the money. Okay? The fact of the matter is, how much money did Glenn raise? How much money did you raise?
And how much money did your son receive from the Florida Democratic
I told you this. My son raised $60,000. He received little or nothing. There was not one mailing. You know what?
Well, yes, he did. I have the finance report right here. The finance report is right here. He received $11,000 from
Oh my gosh.
in kind and $4,000 in a check, and that's the finance report. And you just told me again
John,
after Citrus County.
you know what?
I'm sorry.
You know what?
Thank you very much.
I'm trying to.
Thank you very much. Very nice seeing you.